Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Against the Grain podcast, part of the Awesemo Golf podcast series, typically the third and final portion, at least of the free portion of the Awesemo Golf podcast series, where I go over specifically ownerships for the DraftKings week-long slate. Of course, if you are looking for some of my other podcasts, go ahead and check out the Awesemo podcast page. You can find that right through going through our homepage, awesemo.com. Click on the podcast network and then click on golf, and you'll find normally my 3 weekly ones. This week for the Safeway Open, I only did 2 because we had a strange week with the PGA Tour Championship finishing on Monday and then going right into the next week. So I combined the Fit in the Form podcast, which is the second one, and the Opening Tee podcast, which is the first one. So in all, you get 3. The Opening Tee, the Fit in the Form, and the Against the Grain, all making the Awesemo Golf Weekly podcast series. All short forms as well, maybe around 15 or 20 minutes, hopefully under an hour for the total, and I'm going to give you all of the information you would like to hear for the upcoming slate, especially for the Safeway Open. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's dive right in here as we learn about, first, as I do on this one, I do a lineup review of last week's winner. Man, what a lineup. I mean, 30 golfers, and only 30 golfers, right? But he was still able to pick a unique lineup and win the $500K. Pretty awesome that ended up happening for this user. Excuse me, I had a little bit of a coughing fit there. Didn't want to have you guys listen to me cough. There's no fun in that. So, all right, let's dive right in here. Let's learn about the contest winner from last week. As I mentioned, he did not use all of his salary. $49,500 is what he used. It comprised of Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, of course, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, Sebastian Munoz, and Mac Hughes. Awesome stuff. Total ownership of well over 100%. Didn't matter. Nobody picked it, and he won $500,000. E-Shippy 4. Pretty incredible stuff there. Okay, now as I do each and every time on this, I give you the top 10 projected golfers from Awesemo.com. This week, he's got Brendan Steele coming in at number 1, close to 19%. Harold Varner, number 2, coming in similarly. Joel Damon, number 3. Jordan Spieth, number 4. Mark Hubbard, number 5. Siwoo Kim, 6. Cam Davis, 7. Sergio Garcia, 8. Phil Mickelson, 9. And Shane Lowry, number 10. All getting right around or above, all getting above 15%. Maybe Lowry and Mickelson trending towards the 14% range. So that was how Awesemo does it. Now, let's go out and break down how I see it happening, how my averages came out this week. And of course, if you want the full projections from Alex Awesemo Baker and the Awesemo team, including me and Ben, join us on the Awesemo Plus side, just $8.95 for the week. That's going to get you this week's content and most of the U.S. Open's content for next week, especially if you join today, $8.95. You will not get the weekend content for the U.S. Open, but you will get the week-long stuff. So really important there. You're going to get 2 weeks for just $8.95, so less than $5 a week. Good way to do it there for sure. Okay, let's go into the top 10 priced golfers this week. Normally it's 10K and above, but because there aren't many 10Kers, we're going to go top 10 price. Total ownership of the top 10 priced guys is 140% this week. A lot of them I just talked about, like Siwoo Kim, Phil Mickelson, Shane Lowry, Brendan Steele, Sergio Garcia, Jordan Spieth, Ches Reavie, Joel Damon, all in the top 10 owned and all in this section. However, 2 guys that aren't projected to be in the top 10 owned. Emiliano Grillo, former winner here, $9,700. Definitely sticker shock with the price there. He's going to come in below 10%. And Eric Van Rooyen, who is a new member of the PGA Tour, he's coming in at $9,400 and likely will be under 15% owned this week. Top Against the Grain plays now in that is really, it looks like only Emiliano Grillo. I think maybe Phil Mickelson ends up trending lower than that 14%. But if you're looking to go truly against the grain and get a golfer under 10% owned from the top 10 priced golfers on DraftKings, you're going to have to look to Emiliano Grillo. Okay, let's go to the 8,000 price section. Total ownership of about 120% for roughly 15 guys or so. Sam Burns, Doc Redman, Cam Davis, Kevin Streelman, Harold Varner are going to be the top 5 owned, as well as Mark Hubbard, I should say. So really 6 guys. Those 6 guys are all going to be probably between 10 and 15, maybe even 15 to 20% for a couple of them, like Harold Varner and Mark Hubbard. But then you're going to get roughly 7 or 8 golfers that we know should be under 10% owned this week, including Snedeker, Norlander, William Gordon, Bud Cauley, Keegan Bradley, Tyler Duncan, and Lucas Glover. Lucas Glover, man, he had a really good stretch of golf when he first came out of the restart, but has been very bad since then. It's going to be only 2% owned, so if you're looking to go truly against the grain, that might be a good place to start. Tyler Duncan also playing pretty good golf, especially with his irons. He's only 5% owned, will be a big target for me. William Gordon turning into one of my favorites. Might even add him to my favorites. If you follow along my winning element content, I put in my favorites, and I might add William Gordon in there this week. I really like to play the guy, and I think he's got a ton of talent. Looks like he'll be below 10% owned at 8,200 this week. Bud Cauley also will be certainly in play for me. Okay, let's move along down here. We're going to go into the 7K section. There's a lot of golfers here this week. Total ownership, 162%, so a lot of focus going here as well. Wes Bryan is probably going to get the most out of anybody's in terms of focus this week. He's coming in at over 10% owned. He's really picking and choosing his starts here as he's looking. He was out on that major medical, looking now to fulfill those terms. He's really picking his starts and choosing them, going against weaker fields. He's made every cut, so his irons have been good. No surprise to see the name recognition there as well. No surprise to see him over 10%. Cam Tringale also trending that way as well. Johnny Vegas and Charlie Hoffman, two, I'll call them more veteran PGA Tour players, also going to come in around 10%. Troy Merritt, Denny McCarthy, and Taylor Gooch all have played pretty good at some point in the last month or so. In fact, I would suspect Taylor Gooch has played a lot better than that and is ranked first, at least in terms of my model in this pricing section. I suspect Taylor Gooch to probably be the highest owned here. Don't have him projected as such right now, but I'll probably switch that by the time lock rolls around. I'm recording this at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. It is not until 24 hours from now, so I expect Taylor Gooch to be the highest owned. Other guys that I do expect also to be highly owned, Luke List, his odds to win has plummeted. Started at 60, now it's at 45 on DraftKings. I'm only projected at 7%, but I suspect that'll get above 10% as gamers, especially ones that are just mass multi-entering, there's such a high correlation to odds in their lineups, so I really do suspect that Luke List will be much higher on than 7%. I have him coming in above 10% this week. A couple of guys, though, that I suspect will be under 5% owned. Harry Higgs, who has come alive the last couple of starts. Robbie Shelton, Ryan Armour, Maverick McNeely, and Christopher Ventura, all guys that I will look to this week. Charles Schwartzel a little bit as well. All guys going to be under 5% owned and will be part of my player pool this week. Okay, lastly here, as we are roughly right around the 10-minute mark here for this one, not surprised to see this one go a little bit shorter here with the Against the Grain article. But what I'll do is I'll try and add a couple of things in here. I'll review my Against the Grain plays at the end. All of my top plays, at least, that I said in the article. Okay, so 6,170 total percent ownership. So a lot of ownership coming down here, and that's just because the field strength is so weak that more people are willing to take some risks down here. So we got Scott Stallings, who has not yet to miss a cut, I believe, since the restart. He's coming in at roughly 10%. Adam Schenk, who is the top-ranked guy, according to my model in this pricing section, he'll come in around 10%, as will Seamus Power, and the golfer that gamers just can't quit on, Aaron Wise. He'll come in around 5 to 10%, as well as Trice Seifert. Still, there are over 100 golfers in this pricing section, so you're going to get plenty of guys, almost everybody under 5%. Some of the guys that I like that I've mentioned already, Tom or Ja-Hyun Kim. Definitely like him a little bit this week. I don't suspect, even though the DFS industry has been touting him quite a bit, or the PGA DFS industry has been touting him quite a bit, it seems as though that is really only affected in ownerships in those single entry contests, the $200 and $100. I suspect maybe Tom Kim will get 5% in there, but I don't suspect he'll get above 3% really in the big GPPs this week. I just can't see that. A couple of other guys, Wyndham Clark. He's only 80-1 to win and only 2% owned this week, so certainly a guy that I would take a look for. Okay, so let's review now. As I've gone through everybody, the top Against Grain plays. The top go up at the top. Emiliano Grillo at 9,700. In the 8,000 range, I like William Gordon for sure. I have an affinity for him. I also like Tyler Duncan, Bud Cauley, and Harold Varner. Although Harold Varner, I do expect ownership to come in a little bit higher than call it an against the grain play. In the 7K range, a couple of guys that I like: Luke List, Harry Higgs, Robbie Shelton, Ryan Armour, Maverick McNeely, and Christopher Ventura. And lastly, in the 6,000 priced section, a couple of guys that I have an interest in this week that should be good against the grain plays. Wyndham Clark is one of them for sure. And I also have a little bit of an interest in Peter Uihlein as well as Peter Malnati. So both two Peters, I should have said. Okay, so we're at just over 10 minutes here, which is good for the Against the Grain podcast. Gives you a quick rundown of golfers that you can focus on that will be low owned and differentiate your GPP lineups this week. So until next time, everybody, if you're looking for more information, of course, I'm not going to be on the Live Before Lock show tonight, Wednesday night, but I've got Jeff Ulrich filling in for me, and of course, you're going to get Ben Raza. I'm on vacation in Hilton Head, so 8:30 at night for a live show doesn't seem too conducive to giving good information, as it's like I said, it's about 10 o'clock here, so only maybe an hour and a half or two away from my first, and all you Disney fans will know, my first pineapple soft serve, which we call Dole Whip here, with a little bit of Myers rum on top. That'll be my drink of choice. So Jeff has decided to fill in for me, so I don't let the rum talk, and I let Jeff do the talking for me this week. But I will be back on the airwaves, of course, next week for the U.S. Open. So until then, everybody, I wish you the best of luck at the Safeway Open, and we will see you on the other side. Cheers.